Pick up where we left off the last time with Walter Scott, who came to the United States and immigrated to the United States in about 1852 or 1854. I've gone back and in a little while I'll show you, I have the passenger list of the ship that they came over and a picture of the ship that they came on, the Patrick Henry. But we did all the United States Scots. Now we're gonna do the Isle of Wight Scots. That's where they came from. The Isle of Wight is down at the southern, way down, all the way down, southern England. It's an island that is about 10 to 15 miles offshore. So you have to go down to Portsmouth and then get a ferry boat and come across the ferry over the Isle of Wight. They never build a bridge, and I don't think they ever will. They want to keep isolated. So I have this book on the Isle of Wight. It's a very good book. Has all the stuff in it. And it talks about Queen Victoria. She and her husband used to summer on the Isle of Wight. So I wanted to show you a picture of Walter Scott and his wife Sarah Russell Scott. Okay. And they came from the Isle of Wight. And they had eight children.
8?
3 of them were born on the Isle of Wight.
And 3 of them
And the other 5 were born in the United States.
Yeah,
As my grandfather, John Richard Scott, was born in Pennsylvania. Okay? Luzerne County in Pennsylvania. Okay. So we realize the fact that the common denominator between all of you with your family names was the name Scott, both on the Rouse and on the Scott side, obviously. So what I've done is I've gone back and traced by some documents what is the origin of our Scott name, where did it come from, and when did it start? Okay, so I have made out some sheets for you, and maybe I can do this quickly. Pass these around, and I think I have too many, but that's all right.
Pick one.
That is one mixed together.
All right, the Scott family, the youngest Scott is Jacob in 2009.
Right.
Okay? Okay? Now here is the Isle of Wight that we want to see. It's an island. Here we go. Hello. Here's the Isle of Wight, which is down here. And so we started over here in Shalfleet and Freshwater, where Percival Scott, who we're going to get to. But most of the people, the land the farm that we had is here in a place called Calbourne. Sarah Scott was born in Shorewell over here. So it's all to the left hand. This is a needles area, and it's all done with chalk. What do you call it? What? It's chalky looking. Okay? I forgot the word. That's what happens when you get old. One of the ideas of the pictures of the houses that they grew in, that they lived in, was like this, with a thatched roof.
That's cool.
That's
Okay.
actually cool.
So
Old living there.
this was not the family home of Walter Scott. We would go from Jacob, who is the youngest of the Scots, over to the furthest line that I could trace, over to 1379. Okay?
1379.
Okay, we go from Jacob to Percival Scott in 1769, or 1769, when he 09 when he was born, and he married a woman by the name of Elizabeth White. So that's as far as I can go with Percival. Now there's a question about a father by the name of Benjamin, but I haven't been able to nail it down to be legitimate or not. But I have it in here. Now we go then to the Elizabeth White's family for 5 more generations, out to 1609. And in 1609, there was a John White who married an Elizabeth Arnold. And now we're finished with the Whites, so we drop down, we pick up Elizabeth Arnold's family, and we go out 8 more generations. Okay? So that's what it looked like.
So you go from me all the way down there.
From you all the way down there to 13.
Wow.
79.
That's crazy.
Okay, but I picked up on the female side and traced them on out. All right, now the fun time. You all have that outline the papers that I gave you. That's the family crest. Now there are about 6 to 8 different family crests. I chose this one. Why do you think I chose this one? It's got an anchor. Who uses anchors? Sailors. Here, okay, here's a steering wheel. Who uses a steering wheel on the ship? Sailors. So I chose that one. And then down at the bottom, it tells you what all those symbols mean on the sheet down below.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, the origin, it's called etymology. What came first? Northern Britain, Scotland, or the Scot name? Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
The chicken. Had to have the egg. Or it
Okay.
had to have the egg.
Now, if you'll turn to the last page that you have,
Haven't I seen this picture right in the middle page? Or one of the page before the last
I put it in. We'll talk about that in a little while. The last page tells you the area from which the Scott family originated. And if you look here,
Oh, wow.
it is this area here that takes in Romania, Bulgaria, the Ukraine, thank you, Vera, southern Russia, but they were a migrant family, and they moved all the time, usually with their flocks so they could feed them. Now, they migrated down into a place called Greece, and the leader of the and they were called the Scythians, Scythians, Scythians.
We're learning about this whole area in our school.
Okay, they're the Scythians. They don't exist anymore as a tribe or as a clan. Okay, now they moved down to Greece in their migration, and the leader of the Scythian or the Scot clan or tribe became the king of the city of Athens. And as the king of the city of Athens, he had a son. Now I can't remember the name of that son. He was a real zinger. His name was the Scythians went. I'm on the history outlines. The history. The immigrant. Turn to the page here that looks like this. And that's where our family started, with the Scythians over in the Eastern Europe and Russian Ukraine area. The migrant Scythians later moved to Greece, where Chiropus became the king of Athens, Greece. His son Gethylus became so troublesome that the father, the king, banished him from its kingdom. Okay? So, Helios then moved down to Egypt. Okay? Now, okay. Yeah, went to Egypt during the time of Moses. Okay, think back how far that is here.
What?
During the time of Moses.
What?
When Pharaoh gave him his daughter, whose name was Scota, S-C-O-T-A, in marriage. In order to escape the plagues of Egypt during the time of Moses, Genealogy and his wife, along with a large number of the Scythians, Greeks, and now Egyptians, sailed to the Iberian Peninsula. Where's Iberian Peninsula?
Near Spain and Portugal.
That's right. Okay, that's the Iberian Peninsula. They landed on the island of the Iberian Peninsula, which became called Port Genealogy, which now is called Portugal, was where the name came from. Portugal. It was here that Genealogy named the tribe Scots, for the affection he bore for his wife. She became the mother figure for the Scythian tribe. After years of bloodshed war with the barbarians in the area, Genealogy and his wife and the members of the Scot tribe, together they sailed northwards toward an island later known as the Isle of Scots.
Wow.
This location later adopted the name Kinsut, meaning the scattered people, and they later became known as what?
What's it say?
They became known as Ireland. Okay?
This is so cool.
They were migrants. Okay? Now from Ireland, they moved across the isthmus between that and the mainland of England, across the waters, channels, to inhabit the area of the Picts and the Albanians. This is not Albania, the country. That was the tribal name. When they invaded the present-day Scotland from Ireland, they brought along with them the name Scots. Okay? So here they are. They now have moved to Scotland.
Is that where they got their name, Scott?
Just wait a minute. It wasn't the Roman occupation of the Isle of Wight. The Romans called in the northern part Caledonia. Okay, that was the original old name. These northern tribe clans would raid into the southern region of England, or British Isles. The Romans held the territory. This is Roman occupation now, around the time of Jesus. Held the territory that was hard to control by Roman standards. The Scott family was one of the most powerful of the border clans. They became known as clans now. The word clans means family. So it's the Scott family. On becoming Roman Empire in 117 AD, Hadrian set about making the empire more secure, separating Rome in the south from the barbarian tribes, he called them, in the north. Emperor Hadrian ordered the army to build a wall to define the north and west frontiers of the Roman Empire. The wall sprawled across 73 miles of the east coast to the west coast. The wall became known as Hadrian's Wall and stands today. Okay? Serving as a border to keep the northern people from raiding into the southern area. In his writings, the Roman poet Seneca was well acquainted with this powerful tribe clan known as the Scots. Okay?
And
It was
so
spelled
cool.
differently.
Next page. The one with the picture on it. Originally, the name Scoto would often have been applied to people who spoke the Gaelic or the English language in the lowlands, and which became known as Scotland, coming from the name of the tribe Scots. By the Middle Ages, 1275 to 1520, the name Scotland was commonly used for this part of the northern Brittany. Scotland is a reference to the land where the tribe's taxes were paid, and they were known to be paying their Scot tribute. During the surname Scott is derived from the border clan of the Scottish-English border region. The Scots are one of the ancient of the Scottish-British borderlands. The Scott clan family name gave birth to the northern island, now known as Scotland. So what came first, the name or the Scotland?
The name.
The name.
So basically, the Scots name.
You have a lot of relatives from Scotland.
This is
And I
And
have a
from
rel-
Ireland, and from Portugal, and from Egypt, and from
And I have
This is
a
a mouthful.
elder that met Pharaoh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Huh? What?
I have an elder that met Pharaoh.
Very
Yeah,
good.
right.
Ancestors.
Yeah, an ant. An ant. Wait.
What?
Now we're talking here.
That's so
We're talking here about the beginning of the Scythians, about 25,000 BC, before Christ. Okay, it goes back before Abraham and that bunch. In that. Okay. So
that's cool.
Pretty cool.
yeah, that's your name.
So, Dad, when did they move from Scotland to the Isle of Wight?
Don't I have that paper?
I don't know.
I don't know. Let's see.
And so my ancestors back then were there at the time that Jesus was there. It's
Yeah, they were.
cool.
I don't know whether I don't know which part of the trip they were on at the time. I would say they were probably in Ireland.
But that's so cool.
Yeah. Now, the name Scott comes from the word Scythians. This is 5,000 centuries BC. In Greece, it would be SKTH, since they don't have the same letters that we have in our English language. Phonetically, it would be the vowels SKOTH. In Welsh, they don't have all the letters we have, so they would call it YSGD. The Saxons, who came into England later on, coined the name SCOT, and in about the 8th century AD, 8th century after Christ, the name Scott picked up its second T. Other than that, before that was SCOT. Now, the 8th century AD became known as Scott with a double T.
That's
The true name Scotia comes from Scythians.
What does it mean?
Huh?
What does Scotia mean?
Well, that's the name of the
Scythians.
Oh, so
princess.
Scythians and Scotia are the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, it means
That's
Yeah, it all comes from the word Scythians,
That was the princess.
the derivation. Because different languages have different letters.
Mhm.
And because of that, you'll find the spelling is really wild
Hmm.
when you're trying to trace it. Okay?
That's cool.
So, now you know who you are.
now that's cool.
Okay, any questions on that?
No, sir, but what's really cool is that, for one, a long time ago, aunt met Pharaoh, and so
She was
my
Pharaoh's daughter.
Pharaoh's daughter.
So does
And
that
then-
mean we were related to Pharaoh?
Pharaoh.
Very, very distant.
Yeah, really. He was a bad guy. I wouldn't be related to
And
him.
then I had a ancestor that was alive when Jesus was on the earth.
That's right.
And Moses was on the earth.
I think everybody pretty well did, but they don't know who they are. Now you do.
Now I get to say my aunt was Pharaoh's daughter.
And
And
so
your
my
aunt maybe
ancestors,
20,000 generations back.
like
Okay.
20,000.
Okay. So that's kind of the background of the Scott name. And that was a lot of fun
That was fun.
to do that.
That was.
But let me talk to you about Walter Scott. We talked about him before when he came to the United States.
Right.
Now we want to talk to you about the fact that he and his wife came with their 3 oldest children, and they were Mary Jane, Joseph, and George were the three oldest children. They migrated from London to England in 1854, and they came on the USS, not the USS, but the SS Scotia. Okay. This is a census record from England in 1841, but I wanted to get to something else. Here's the marriage certificate of Sarah and Walter Scott. That's a duplicate. I want to get back here to the ship's crew. Walter Scott was born in 1820. He was 32 years of age. Came from Britain from London to the United States in New York City, and he landed on Patrick. He came on the ship, the Patrick Henry. Here is a picture of the ship, the Patrick Henry.
Oh, that's a.
For whatever
Is that
reason, that name
looks like
sounds
a
familiar.
That looks like a warship.
No, it's a passenger ship, and it sailed, and it came, and it traveled on a steam. They had
Cold.
coal down in the bottom, and they would shovel the coal in, make the fire, which made the steam, which drove the engines. Okay.
Just like a steam engine.
When your great grandmother, who was Italian, we went back to Italy, and because she spoke from the area of Abruzzese, and her Italian was antique because she was in the States and she learned it from her aunt when she was little, and so she called them vapore, the vapor, the steam. And so they corrected her real fast and said, no, signora, no vapore, nave, boats, ships. Here's the passenger list, and I have it all blocked out with all of the family. It is together. You need something?
See a straw.
Okay. Here's the passenger list.
All those passengers.
Well, the ones that I have blocked out with the yellow.
Huh.
Okay. That's the passenger list there. 1841. I had that twice, didn't I? Yeah. This is where Sarah was 4 years old. Okay. Oh, that's that.
So,
Okay. So they had. Go ahead.
So Aunt Sarah was born in the Isle of Wight. Oh wait.
Not your Aunt Sarah. This is Walter Scott's
Oh.
1800. Okay? There is more than one Sarah in our family. There are lots of them.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Now, Walter Scott's father was a John Scott. And he was from a place called Shalfleet. Remember, we talked about Shalfleet? He was from Shalfleet, which is where, here it is, Shalfleet up here. Okay? He was from Shalfleet. He was called a yeoman. A yeoman in those days was known as a man who cultivated and farmed his own land.
What's cultivated mean?
Turned the ground over.
With a tiller?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Cultivate. Later on, John bought 20 acres in a suburban of Calbourne. Remember we talked about Calbourne being here, over in this area? He bought 20 acres of land and farmed that land in a place called Calbourne. Now, I have here a plot plan for the land that our family owned or owns today. I have not been back. I was there once. I was there
They
twice.
still own it.
I don't know. But it was that